he's adamant always that he's going to be ready the next day, and it's not always quite the next day, but it's usually half the time that we're expecting. And he talked that way from the beginning in New Orleans, told us the whole plane ride back, kind of just nod and let him do it. But then he usually proves himself right the following week. So I'm happy he did.
Kyle, a lot of folks think of Sherman, they think of the coverage, the interceptions, but what about, the run support and kind of the physicality he allows you to, whether he's forcing a play or making a tackle? Now that kind of sets a tone as well.
Just because he's shows that our whole team that he's a very good football player. And to me, that's what you want. You don't want guys who are just good at one thing. You want guys that can help you win the game in whatever type of ways needed, whether that's covering a guy, whether it's coming up on run support, whether it's communicating with the other guys to help the 11 play together better. I think Sherm's one of the better football players in this league, which has made him be one of the better corners in this league over the last 7 or 8 years, whatever it is.
What's been your viewpoint on the defense this week after the last 3 weeks allowing go-ahead scores late in those games?
I got a lot of confidence in our D. They've earned that. I know we had gave away 2 scores here these last 2 weeks. I thought we let them hang around way too long in Atlanta. We were up 19-10, and I think we could have finished that there on the last play and given it back to them with 14 seconds left and no timeouts. But we didn't, and let a good quarterback and a Hall of Fame receiver, NFL MVP, have too many chances, and that's what happens. And a week before, I thought Drew Brees made some pretty good plays also. We definitely can play better, but I have no concerns about those guys not being able to get the job done.
Person can't go. Dan Brunskill can play guard, or what are your options there?
Brunskill can play guard. School could play guard. We would most likely lean towards Brunskill, though.
You've had a lot of rookies obviously getting the lineups because of injuries, whether it be Brunskill or whatever. How's Deebo Samuel come along through his rookie season, and whether it's catching passes, blocking, or running the ball?
I've been extremely impressed with Deebo this year. Just the fact that I think he's had to play a lot more than expected as a rookie. For him to play with the physicality he has and just to play like a man throughout the year, whether he's been hurt or not, has been very impressive. He still has his rookie moments. He's playing a lot longer than he's used to. And probably, I don't know what it is, 3 weeks longer right now, and hopefully there's a lot more to go. So it's very challenging for rookies, and that's why we'll never stop riding him, because he's not close to arrived yet. He's got a lot longer to go, but he's earned a lot of respect on this team for how tough he's been out there.
When you say that, what are you referring to that that we don't necessarily see about Deebo?
On what part?
Getting better and what he needs to clean up.
It's very rare when rookie receivers come in the league that they're polished and all the stuff they do. They know how to do it down in and down out. Watch a lot of college receivers. They're out there for 100 plays, and you only have to go full speed, like 5 of them. It's all no huddle and fast. So it takes a while to understand how hard it is to run routes every single play in a game and how hard you have to work to get open. A lot of guys, it takes a couple years they have the ability to run the good routes, but they get away with being a little bit sloppy in college, and it doesn't matter. Then they get to the NFL, and they got to learn the hard way, and they usually do that going into their second year. Deebo still has those moments and stuff, definitely, like they all do. But he's been able to overcome them with how physical he's played, how tough he's been. And he also, when he does struggle with that stuff, just because he has some good numbers and stuff, he doesn't just sit there and think that we're just talking to talk. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but look at how good I'm doing. And no, he's as hard on himself as we are. He knows he can get a lot better. And in the meantime, he's still doing pretty good.
You got some rain this week, and there looks like there's going to be some on the schedule. You do any extra rain-related preparations for Saturday?
No, there's nothing. Until someone can tell me what you do for rain, specifically. We practiced in it, so we got a little bit of it. That's about all I know how to do.
You're not a proponent of water bottles on the football and stuff like that?
No, I'm not. You just deal with it if it happens, but we did practice in rain this week, so I didn't have to be. It happened naturally. We don't have a bubble, so it doesn't matter. I'm just glad it didn't lightning, because I don't want to get pushed on those rules, whether I have to bring people in on lightning or not.
Kyle, you guys have mentioned a few times this year the importance of winning games in different ways. What are the benefits of that for a team, and what do you take away from that?
I think it's just so important in the NFL, just the way our sport is. I think that's what makes the NFL different than all other sports, is it's not a 7-game series. I think it's very hard in a 7-game series for the best team not to always win. It just usually happens. unless there's injuries in that 7-game series. But when it's one game, it doesn't matter at all who the better team is. It just matters who's the better team for 3.5 hours. And the best team isn't always, they're not always on in one game. They usually are the majority of the time out of 7. But when it's just one day, one game, weather elements go in, calls go in that are always going to happen with the refs, whether it's good ones or bad ones. Injuries happen, the way the ball bounces. There's so many different things that happen in a game that even if you're the best team and you just expect to beat everyone with ease, you're going to see that doesn't happen. And when it doesn't, you can't be shocked because you only got one chance. And so you got to be able to win it anyway.
Find that as a common thread amongst teams that win championships is that, I mean, obviously they win a lot, but winning tons of different ways.
Definitely. I mean, I think you look all the way back, like you look at teams who've won Super Bowls because they've had such a great offense and stuff. And I mean, I go back to like the Rams, the greatest show on turf and stuff. And I think they beat the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship. I don't remember the score, but they got their first touchdown to Ricky Prohl, I think, on the last play. And then, I mean, they battled defensively in that game, and the offense didn't freak out, but they did enough to get it done at the end. You watch some defenses some of the best defenses ever. You talk about some of those Seattle teams. And Saul even talking about it. I know he was on one of those teams, the team that won the Super Bowl, and I think someone put up 40 points on them earlier in that year. So no matter what you are and what you're built of, there's going to come a time where you can't rely on that. And it's nice when it's in the year because you learn how to fight through all that stuff. But when you get to the playoffs, who knows? And it's one game at a time.
No, it's probably not at the forefront of your mind right now, but do you have any idea what your Sunday is going to be like just in terms of watching other games while also preparing for next weekend in Seattle?
No, I won't be watching. Other games won't have anything to do with us. I think it's pretty simple for us. I mean, we need to beat the Rams first and foremost this week, and regardless of what happens, we know we have to beat Seattle also. So I'm not concerned about any other game. I know on Sunday we'll be coming in here right away because we got an 8-day week, and I think we're fortunate to have an 8-day week because it's nice to get extra day to rest, but also it'll be nice to maybe be able to have some free time for Christmas a little bit, which would have been a lot harder if we only had 7 days.
Does Dee Ford's experience with a hamstring injury give you any pause about Richard Sherman and sending him out for this game?
Yeah, I mean, you take all that stuff into account, and that's the stuff you don't want to happen at all. That's why you always listen to athlete, you always listen to the doctors, and then you always give it the eye test with your own eyes just to see how it looks. And everyone's trying to do their best, and no one wants to make a bad decision because, and I don't even consider them bad or good. You really don't find out whether it was till it already happens. But you try to always do what's right, and I think we got a pretty good history with Sherm. I think he's got a pretty good history in knowing his own body. There have been times that he has talked the way he does, and it has gone there, and he's been like, maybe it's not quite as good as I thought it'd be. And when he doesn't talk that way, I believe him. And I also believe our doctors, and I also believe what I see when he's running around on the field all week.
Two more?
As far as Julian Taylor, he was out today, right, for practice?
Yes, I think he was limited.
He on track to possibly play in Seattle?
I hope so. You never know for sure because he's not going to be going this week. But I'm hoping he's ready next week.
You talked about watching the greatest show on turf. How often do you go back and watch old tape of old championship teams, and how far back do you go?
I've never gone back. I just remember those from growing up because I don't remember anything I did in school. I remember watching those football games. But no, the only time I've gone back and watched old film and stuff is I did that a lot when we were playing in the Super Bowl, going against the Patriots because I knew how long they had done stuff and how long Bill had been around and run systems. So you try to go back and watch stuff like that. But no, I don't do it much. If it's on, I just watch NFL's greatest moments. That was always after prime time growing up. I'd sneak it on because I wasn't allowed to stay up that late. But now the only time I watch it, if that stuff's on and my son or my daughters are around, just trying to get them into it. It's not as stimulating as our iPads are, though.
Plays from when you were the ball boy of the '94 Niners on the sideline. Is there just kind of something that stood out to you that you incorporated now?
Then I wasn't really thinking much about plays. I was trying to dress like Dion and lay all my clothes out before the game, just like him and Jerry would. I was trying to figure out what wristbands they were wearing, things like that. So I was much more into trying to be a player at that time.
All right.
All right, thanks, guys.